So what's your backstory, Terry? Were you an aspiring farmer at some stage?
I was. I grew up on the land. We had a small dairy farm with 30 cows, and I wanted to come back on the land. In fact, I left school early and went back on the farm for a while, and then there was 5 of us in the family. I think we only had a couple of hundred acres and 30 cows, and my father said, none of you are coming back here. You can all go and get professions and trades, etc. And I think we all ended up with professions. And I was lucky enough to go directly from the farm, which was almost like going straight from school into Queensland DPI, and 1967, which means I've been working professionally now in agriculture for 52 years. I did a cadetship, which was a fantastic way to learn because you're studying and implementing at the same time. So what you're studying is really relevant, and you're learning it, you remember it. I still remember stuff that I learnt way back then. And when if you just go and study for the sake of studying without actually knowing how you're going to use that knowledge or what's relevant in the knowledge, it's much harder to remember. So I had the privilege. I did a 5-year cadetship with DPI, and I actually spent 11 years with Queensland DPI. And I went from there to a property in the Northern Territory where we had 12,000 breeders, 1,200 square miles, and it was run by an American company. So this was then late 70s and late 70s. I'm getting mixed up between the 70s and 80s. And the beef lump was on, and I remember we sold 6,000 heifers at $30 a head. They were about the only purebred Brahmins in the territory at that stage. And then I was basically given a property and unlimited resources to solve a lot of problems. And it was an unbelievable opportunity. I was a 27-year-old at the time, and it was just unbelievable. So I worked in everything from reproductive physiology, animal nutrition, ecology, improved pastures, soils, economics. I had the opportunity to look at putting together a whole system from one which was severely broken. And we solved every problem we set out to solve in under 5 years, and many that we didn't know were there when we started. So that gave me a background in thinking systems and in thinking holistically. I didn't know the word holistic then, but and what would happen is I had access to experts from all over the world in any subject I wanted. And when I'd bring an expert in, every expert could look at my problems, and with their blinkers on, they could solve 80% of my problems. And it was pretty evident to me that nobody, 15 people couldn't solve 80% of my problems each. And so I would take knowledge from them if it was relevant to what I was putting together and plug it in somewhere into a system. And if what they were telling me was not relevant, then I'd just let it go through to the keeper. And some people wouldn't work for me more than once because I didn't implement what they thought I should have done. But they didn't know what I knew, which was what I was trying to put together. And it's no different today in when you're looking to run a farm. It's a whole system, and it involves understanding the economics, understanding the ecology, understanding your production systems, and understanding your business and and your people. The people are the thing that actually drives it, makes it work or make it fail. And so that's I think that period back there was training for what I do today, and it was a great, unbelievable experience. I remember in 1985 when that project finished, I was funded by the Northern Territory government to publish everything that I'd done, and I wrote 18 papers in about 7 different disciplines, each peer-reviewed 4 times in 1 year.
Terry, I didn't know. This is amazing. There was so much to unpack there, but can I go back to you being a 27-year-old and you being given this opportunity? What does that mean? As in, you were managing this farm? Were you given farm ownership, and also mainly I want to, because we focus on next gen farmers being farm entrepreneurs, and it sounds like you had put yourself in the right spot at the right time, surrounded yourself with the best people, and shown that you were very clever and dedicated, which let you have this opportunity be given to you. Can you unpack that? What was happening when you were 27?
Yeah, I flew across the territory with my family for a 3-day interview, and at the end of that job interview, they said to me, "Well, you've got the job," and I said, "I don't want it." And I said, firstly, I know absolutely nothing about this ecosystem. I don't know these trees. I don't know these grasses. I've never worked with an extensive breeder herd. You know, I come off a 30-cow dairy herd, and you've got 12,000 cows out there on native pastures. You know, I said, "Look, I can't help you. You're better off going to the DPI and finding somebody with the expertise." And they said something to me then that I have never forgotten. And they said, "No." They said, "We want somebody who has no preconceived ideas." And I think for your entrepreneurs wanting to get into agriculture, there's a real lesson there. When we look at regenerative agriculture and what we're doing today, a lot of people that have grown up traditionally in the system actually have to unlearn stuff. Whereas if you're coming from somewhere else and you understand first principles, you can actually make things work. And you're not starting out with deeply entrenched paradigms which are actually wrong with today's knowledge. If you just excuse me a minute, I'll just shut the door to keep some of the background knowledge out.
Yeah, all good, mate.
Noise, I should say.
Could be knowledge, depends what to say.
Well, it could be some of that too. Sorry, I meant to shut that early.
No, you're right,
mate. Yeah. And so what happened was that I had to solve all the problems without local knowledge and based on first principles. And that is what paid dividends. You wouldn't believe what dividends that paid. And as a result, I made several world first discoveries because I had an open mind and I wasn't trapped into my existing or any paradigms for that piece of country. And so I think there's a real lesson there for anyone coming into agriculture, especially from outside. I think that indicates that if you understand or you learn some first principles, you are just as likely to be successful as anyone that's been in the industry for a lifetime.
Terry, this is amazing. We can't delve into the lessons you learned, but is there somewhere that people can go? Because I'm interested in this, where to find all that knowledge and lessons you had.
There's not actually.
What? It's not online.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of old papers that I wrote back then, but they're all based on northern production systems. And it's funny you should ask that because I've had a friend of mine that's been asking me to write a book about myself, and I said I refused to write a book about myself. And he on the weekend he said, "All right, I'll pay somebody else to write a book about you." And so that's where some of that knowledge might end up in the next 18 months. So, but there is a fair. But when I think about it, when you ask that question and of where is it, it actually isn't anywhere except still sitting here, and a lot of it, it's in what I teach, and it comes through what we're doing, but it's not written down anywhere.
Thank you for your attention and for watching this video. Click here or somewhere to watch more of our videos. If you're new here, please do subscribe. We want more of your attention. We want to get you inspired to get onto your farm. Let's get you farming.